Welcome to Against the Odds. Everyone has a story. What's yours? Sharing your story can inspire and ultimately transform lives.
If you know, you know. But if you don't know, you know. Now you know. Now you know. If you know, you know.
All right. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Charles Temasang. I'm known as Stars of Momunkwen. It's bright Sunday afternoon, and we are here at Marie Flavor's African Restaurant. My purpose of being here this afternoon at 2:30 p.m. is to come and support one of ours who is vying for the Democratic primary for the Senate seat. And if he makes it through the primary, he would definitely be representing the Democratic Party in the upcoming November election against current incumbent Ted Cruz. So as one of ours, I thought that it is imperative for me to come and throw my support behind him and see how much push some of us can give. Just a little push can go that far. Thank you.
Hello, hi, my name is Thierry Tchenko. I am Thierry Tchenko's dad. I'm here to listen to him and support him for his U.S. Senate initiative and galvanize everyone to listen to the message he's sending us. And for our community, the African community, I'm sure that we all are trying to get together to support him to rise to the highest level possible. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kali Nyang. Terry's dad, my best friend. I've seen him go to school. I've been to all his graduation, all the events in the family. When we got here, we were pretty close. So just happy that he's gotten so far and happy that this initiative starts with him. It is long due. Our community needs this. We need representation in this country and in this city. So I'm glad. I'll do whatever it takes to support him, and we need to. Good luck, Terry. Good luck.
My name is Ernest Ngasa. I'm the proprietor of Marie African Restaurant. We are hosting Thierry Tchenko for his campaign bid, for his Senate campaign bid at our residence, at our location, to show some support and encouragement in his endeavors. Thierry is our son. We wish him the best.
Hi, my name is Anik Wallace. I am originally from Cameroon, and I came today to this turnout to support Thierry Tchenko, who is going to be, hopefully elected the next senator of Texas. So he has my entire support, like 100%. I'm very proud of him, and see a Cameroonian doing things like that is very motivating and encouraging. So I'm happy to be here. I'm gonna wait and see what it has to say today, and I wish you all the success and luck and everything. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Agnès Charité. I'm Thierry Tchenko's mom. Well, I'm here to support him. He's been a good kid. throughout his childhood, you know, until now, he has not deceived us. He's very focused. He knows what he wants, and everything he set his mind into, he succeeds into it. So I believe he's a good candidate for the seat of senator in this state, because he's going to change a lot of stuff. He's for the poor, he's for those who do not have a say, you know. So I encourage everyone to vote for him. In Jesus' name, I encourage everyone to vote for him, because he is the one who is supposed to be there. Nobody will regret it. So trust him, you will not be deceived. In Jesus' name.
It'll be your first time voting, right?
Yes, and because of that, I'm voting for the first time.
Hello.
No. Okay. So I would like to encourage everybody to go vote. Just don't complain. Your weapon, your solution is in your hands. If you go and vote, then it's the beginning of the solution. And you vote Thierry Tchenko. You have a good message, you have a good program. He's a young man, and with him, we will last longer, and we will develop ourselves, our family will be taken care of. Vote Thierry Tchenko on Tuesday. Thank you.
My name is Divine Sanjo. I'm Thierry's uncle. Today was the town hall, and I came to give Thierry support and to listen to his eloquent messages. And I'm doing this video to encourage everybody, everyone, to go out next Tuesday, March 5th, and cast your vote for Thierry. We are tired of the same old politician, the same line to divide and rule. It's time for new blood, time for new ideas. And Thierry will provide new ideas to this state. Texas needs young people like Thierry to get forward. We're tired of this divide and rule in this state. I hope that you will listen to Thierry, give him a chance. Please, if you have kids, look at your kids and cast your vote. You want your kids to have something tomorrow. You want your kids to be somebody, your kids to have a country, your kids to have opportunities. And I believe when you listen to the arguments from all the rivals, everybody running, you will quickly vote for Thierry. And I hope that on Tuesday you cast your vote for Thierry. Thank you and goodbye.
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Jeanne Corinne Ayutu, manager of Marie African Flavors restaurant. We are here today to call all our customers, all African people, to come like one person and get some support of Thierry Tchenko, who is one of our brother, our father, and our Cameroonian brother. Come all, come one. Give him enough support he needs. Please, let's get him some good support. He knows exactly what to do. He knows exactly what problem we are facing all days, all years. So come one, come all. Give him another support. Thank you.
There we go. Can we? Oh man, that's loud. Okay. How are we doing? How are we doing? Good. I'll ask it again. How are we doing? Good, good. I know some people are staring at me a little funny, like, who's this guy on the microphone? My name is Thierry Tchenko, Democratic candidate for the United States Senate against Ted Cruz. I first want to start off by thanking Uncle Ernest, Auntie Marie, Marie African Flavors for hosting us here today. Thank you so much, Ms. Nadej. Thank you. The way that we're going to be able to do this today, I'm just going to share a little background about myself, but then I really want this to be a conversation. So anybody with questions, I know some folks in the back, we were talking a little bit. If you have any question, let's have a conversation and we'll do that. Gloria, how are we doing on time? We're okay? Okay. So like I said, running for the United States Senate, my name is Thierry Tchenko, born and raised in Houston, but I'm a child of this community. Both of my parents that are sitting over here, Pierre Tchenko and Anna Sondi, say hi to everybody. Then I also have my uncle here, Noel Siaha, and then Tonton Divine is on the way, Uncle Divine Sanjo. So this is a really family effort for me. It's an honor to be here. Born and raised here, and my parents, you know, when they came here, my dad was a gas station worker at Stop and Go off of Bel Air and Fondren, right? My mom was working in Southwest Houston, so seeing their life and seeing their dedication, it gave me a desire to want to be able to serve people like them when I got older. So I was able to grow up in the city, ended up graduating high school, went to McMurray University in Abilene, Texas. Can y'all hear me? There you go. Before going to Georgetown University in DC. But I want to rewind. Okay, we can clap for that. We can clap for Georgetown. But I want to rewind a little bit to really why I'm here today and how I got here. So I got my start in politics in 2008 as the youngest precinct captain for Barack Obama. So I was running around Southwest Houston, knocking on doors, calling people, trying to get them to get involved. The campaign invited me to Virginia to go and help out on the campaign, and that led to a life of public service where I was able to serve as an organizer here in Houston, in Acres Home for Wendy Davis. She was running for governor in 2014. That led to me going to DC and working in the White House Office of Management and Budget, understanding our federal budgets, the things that are helping everyday people like us, but also the things that are hurting everyday people like us. That led to me being a policy advisor where I met my wife, Gloria. We clap for Gloria too. Let's clap for Gloria. What are we doing? Let's clap for Gloria. Let's clap for Gloria. And I ended my time in DC working for President Biden in 2020 on his campaign before he became president. Then I came back home to Houston and was serving as a nonprofit executive providing home repairs to seniors, veterans, and low-income families at no cost to the homeowner. But I'm running for the United States Senate today because people in this room are working harder than ever, but are falling further and further behind. And that's not just a Republican Party problem. That's Republicans and Democrats that like to talk a lot, but then get in office and aren't actually fighting to make people's lives better. And I look at my parents here. These are two people that didn't just tell me that they loved me, didn't just tell me that they were working hard, but they actually fought, and I saw it in their life day in, day out, that they were trying to make my life better. And that should be what we get in the United States Senate and in our politics. Our politicians that when you elect them, when they tell you something, if I say I'm going to do something, that I get in office and I actually do it. And so we're proud of the campaign we've been running. We've now been to almost 100 counties across this state. We've been endorsed by numerous organizations, the Harris County Young Democrats, the 134 PAC, which is the biggest rural democratic organization in Texas, the Asian American Democrats of Texas. But it's because we actually show up and we talk about the issues that people care about. And I have a career of service and making people's lives better. And I'll add another thing since I'm in front of my family here. This community deserves to have a United States Senator in Washington, D.C. For all the economic power, the jobs, the sweat, and the tears that this community has been able to give in this state, it only makes sense that we have somebody in D.C. representing us, thinking about us. And that's something that you'll have in me. And so I'm excited to get the conversation going. There are so many aunties and uncles here, so many tontons and tatas. It's really an honor for me to be here. This is actually going to be our final campaign event before March 5th. And so there's no way that I could do it better than being here in front of y'all. So thank y'all for having me, and let's have a good conversation. So thank you. I'm going to put somebody in the spot. I'm going to put somebody in the hot seat. Mr. Charles Tamason, ask me a question. What are you thinking about?
First of all, let me start by congratulating you. I know that when my veteran pal Divine introduced you to us at the soccer field, we said it's been long overdue that we we don't have one of us that could venture into this terrain, but we see other communities that have navigated the travel of whether it's the Houston City Hall, governorship, and things like that. So anyway, again, I'm very proud of when you started, I think at the age of 14, 2008, and it's become an impeccable step that you are taking right now. How do you see, policy-wise, the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans vis-a-vis winning in Texas? Because I know that Texas is a very challenging state when it comes to the U.S. representation, be it Congress or senatorial. Okay, we saw that with Beto O'Rourke, where we gave it all, and we thought that we were gonna flip one of the seats in that 2018, but we came short by 3 points. How do you see that difference could happen this time? Because right now we are still in the primaries. If you make it among your peers, because there are about 6 of them, there's error, so if we hope you make it so how do you project that Texas could become flipped? That's the core of my question.
It's a good question. And you know, Texas has been in Republicans' hands for the last 29 years. No Democrat has won statewide in Texas in 29 years. And, you know, I blame some of that on the Democratic Party. So the way that I operate always, and I was having some conversations back there, for me, right is wrong is wrong. So if a Republican is doing something good, then, I'll talk to it. If a Republican is doing something good, I'll praise the Republican. If they're doing something wrong, I'll criticize the Republican. If a Democrat is doing something good, I'll praise the Democrat. But if they're doing something wrong, I'll also criticize the Democrat. And I think in our state, to your question, what has ended up happening is the Democratic Party brand in Texas is broken. The days of Lyndon B. Johnson, the days of Ann Richards, people that were getting elected in Texas, they were getting elected because people felt like Democrats are fighting for the everyday person. You know, I think about Harris County here. The average income is $38,000 a year. 25% of the population doesn't have health insurance. Right? Those are key things that people are facing, but then when they look at the Democratic Party, they don't view the Democratic Party anymore as somebody that's really fighting for them. And I think about a situation, this was a couple of months ago. I was right outside of Lubbock, Texas, rural Texas, and I met with some cotton farmers. And these are some guys that they said, Thierry, I haven't voted for a Democrat in over 40 years. And I sat there and I said, look, I know y'all are looking at me funny. I'm a young, black Democrat with a funny name, but I'm coming here because I want to serve you. I don't pick and choose who I want to make their lives better. Everybody should be treated with respect and dignity. So I sat there in a chair, just a chair like this. I sat down with them for 2 hours, and we were having a conversation just like this. Question after question after question after question after question. At the end of the conversation, because they said, Thierry, what are you about? I said, I'm about making your life better. As a farmer, I know that immigration is an issue. Our immigration system is broken. But you keep voting for these Republicans that don't want to find a solution to the problem. They just want to tell you about the problem. Public education. Republicans want to take money out of your public education system, which is going to destroy our communities. Average income. As a farmer, we are losing more and more farms across this state than anywhere else in the country. Having a real conversation with people. At the end of the conversation, all 4 farmers said, Thierry, I was a conservative. I've been supporting Republicans my whole life in the last 40 years, but I'm going to vote for you and I'm going to support you. And it's because we have a vision. We have a positive vision. I don't believe in the politics of always talking about the other side, right? But never saying, what are you actually for? And I think about my wife, Gloria, right? She loves me and I can tell her that I love her all day. But at some point she's going to say, you have to show me that you love me, right? It's not just talk, tonton, right? It's not just talk. You have to show me that you love me. So we need somebody in Washington, D.C., or we need somebody that's representing this state that's actually focused on making people's lives better. And that's something that, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, the majority of the chances that you're suffering in this state right now, right? Over 50% of people in this state make under $15 an hour. So people are working hard, but the margins are just so hard to work. Now people are having to decide, am I gonna pay for food or if I'm gonna pay for medicine? If you have somebody with real vision, Uncle Charles, you can win this United States Senate seat. So that's what we've been doing, because we started at zero. I'm not gonna sit here and act like we had this big machine. It was Gloria and I, we were going to rural Texas. People were making fun of us when we started this campaign. And look where we are now. Look at the endorsements we have now. The Houston Chronicle just praised our campaign. The Dallas Morning News just praised our campaign. And it's because we're actually talking about real things that real people care about. So that's how you win in the state of Texas. Let me ask a question then. If you had to say what is the number one issue that y'all are facing, that if you have a United States Senator, you would want them to help make your life better in that area, what would that be?
Taxes.
Taxes?
Yeah.
Give me some more. Talk to me.
Homeowner taxes.
Yeah. Property taxes?
Property taxes.
Raise your hand if you're dealing with high property taxes in here. Yeah. It's a big problem. And now property taxes is primarily a state issue, right? So it's why we have to vote people like Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick.
That's local.
That's local, right? But the reason why it's connected to the federal level is because if we're able to provide tax credits to middle-income families, then you have more money in your pocket to be able to pay for your property taxes. If you're not having to pay $1,000 a month for health insurance, you can then now use some of that money to pay for your property taxes. And so all of these issues are connected.
Yeah.
All of them are connected. We need to make sure that we're voting certain people out of office, but we also need to make sure that in the federal government that we're providing people with enough opportunity to have money in their pocket to pay for the things that they need to take care of. But that's why it's important. This election, you know, it's the United States Senate that's at the top of the ticket, but in 2026, we have to make sure Greg Abbott and all those guys are out of office. So it's important that we stay committed to the task.
That's right.
Yes, please.
What do you think about abortion, Thierry?
Yeah. It's one of the most controversial issues in our country today. And I actually think that we need a new way forward on the issue. The issue is completely broken. You know, people run the pro-life and pro-choice, and they don't even talk to each other anymore. We've had conversations, and people have said, even in my family, I can't talk to my brother, I can't talk to my sister because of the issue. And, you know, the issue is, as a man, I understand that I'll never be able to know what a woman goes through before making the decision to terminate a pregnancy. I'll never be able to understand.
I'm talking about Texas.
Yeah.
Because different law, yeah.
Yeah. But, and to connect with your point with Texas, Gloria, and she's okay with me saying this, I know some people are going to say, why are you sharing private business? But Gloria had a miscarriage in October of 2022. This was after the Dobbs decision, so after post-Roe v. Wade. And during that time period, she was bleeding, we were going to the hospital, and the doctors were very scared to work with her because they were afraid of the Texas law that we're talking about that I'm in absolute disagreement with. There are not enough protections to make sure that women like Gloria that are dealing with complications from a pregnancy standpoint have what they need. And so for me, I believe that we have to have protections for medical emergencies, rape, incest, all of those protections need to be in place. Also though, I'm a Christian, so my Christian faith guides me. And I believe that we have to have a real abortion reduction policy in the United States. And I'll tell you why. When I travel the state, and one thing about me is I never want to talk about an issue and not talk to the people that are most affected by the issue. So I took some time during this campaign and I talked to some women that have had abortions. And I said, talk to me. Give me kind of your perspective, why you had to make that decision. And they said two things. They said, number one, I don't make enough money. I don't make enough money to support a child. And number two, I don't have a support system. There's nobody there with me, so I'm all alone. That's a policy problem though. Women in the state of Texas make 80 cents to the dollar of what a man makes. 80 cents to the dollar. And that's the same job. So let's say you have a bachelor's degree, the man has a bachelor's degree. You have 5 years of experience, the man has 5 years of experience. The employer is gonna pay you $40,000 while they're gonna pay a man $50,000. And that's unacceptable. But what happens in our politics, and it's why I don't like the way we talk about it, and we talk about a new way forward, is politicians like to pander, right? So they'll say we care about women, but if you care about women, why are you allowing employers to pay unequal pay to women? Why is it that Texas women are the most uninsured women in the country? Those are policy problems that we have that Republicans have played a role in allowing it to be that way, but also Democrats. And so that's our vision for abortion, is actually finding a way of being able to make sure that women are protected. I'm the only campaign in this United States primary to actually have a Women Deserve Better platform, making sure that women are able to be treated equally as men. That's what my Bible teaches me, that all of us were created in the image of God. No person is greater than the next person. And so that needs to be reflected in our policy as well. Yes.
My name is Paul from Wadike. I'm in Nigeria. Okay.
Just a little bit louder so that people.
My name is my name is Paul from Wadike. Okay, I've been in this city here 48 years. Okay, and those are my 4 kids in single dad. I just want to say one thing. I commend your boldness to chase that man out, Ted Cruz. And listen, if you've been following the media, maybe things, social media, I've been speaking up against him. I was the one that let the world know that he's son of an immigrant, but he's coming over here to throw us off. But then, well, to cut everything short, I'm not here to have kids out there and I gotta get out. I'm gonna vote for you.
I appreciate it.
And I'm gonna tell you one thing. If I were you, keep doing what you're doing. Go to African communities. Small. Because as you were talking, I was listening. I was looking at people, checking countenances. You have some reasonable mature people here, and those are the people you need. Okay.
Thank you.
You got my vote.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Just some house order, please. When you stand up to speak, okay, if it's a question, please, for the purpose of time, let's not ramble, let's not rigmarole, let's just go straight asking the question. Because if all of us stand up here and start telling stories, I don't think we're gonna get through for the purpose of what we came here for. And for housekeeping, if you need to use the restroom is that way, please. So I just need to clear that. Sorry, no.
Hi everyone, thank you for allowing me to ask this question. My name is Thierry. I'm here today with my son because I want him to start, looking at people like you. Like I said earlier, I'm really proud of who you are and what you're doing. I have a quick question. So, talking about kids, right? What do you think about the issue of guns in schools?
Right there.
Keep guns.
We have a issue, and in our country, what I say is that I'm an advocate of responsible gun ownership. So if you're a responsible gun owner and you're doing what you need to do, I don't want to mess with you. However, if you're irresponsible, if you're someone that's going to be problematic, we have to make sure that you don't have access to a gun to then go into a school and commit a shooting. And I was in Sutherland Springs. This was early on in the campaign. And this is a school, it's a city that actually had a shooting at one of the schools. And they said, Thierry, it's not that we're against guns, but we don't want our children being in a position to where they're going to school and they have to be worried about having a shooting. And so in the state of Texas right now, there's something called permitless carry, where you can just go and buy a gun without a permit. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable that you can just go to your local Walmart and buy a gun. So we have to have universal background checks to make sure that you are actually approved to be able to have a gun. Also making sure that we are putting in place red flag laws. Because what ends up happening is somebody may be having mental health problems. And they may then have those mental health problems and want to now go and do a shooting at a school. And people may know of their behavior, but the laws are not in place to be able to go to a judge and say, hi judge, this person has demonstrated this behavior. Can you please find a way to be able to take away access temporarily until they get what they need to be able to be better off? That's another important piece of this conversation. It's called red flag laws. And the last thing I would say is being able to make sure that you're not able to take a semi-automatic weapon and turn it into a fully automatic weapon. Because that's what also happens often. It's called bump stocks. In the United States, you don't sell fully automatic weapons. But with bump stocks, you can take a semi-automatic and make it a fully automatic weapon. And so those are things that we have to put in place. And I think about you, we were in East Texas, and I was talking to some people in Center, Texas. This is in Shelby County, far East Texas. And these were some black Democrats. And they said, Thierry, I'm a black Democrat. Where we're sitting at right now, though, this is where the KKK meets. And I'm in rural Texas. No one is gonna come and save me. There's no police department that I can call if the KKK starts acting up here. And so I care about my guns, but I also want responsible gun ownership. I think about my people in West Texas, my farmers. They say, Thierry, the only way that we can actually kill, so what ends up happening, to provide context, y'all, is on these farms, there's something called feral hogs. And these hogs, they come on and they can destroy your property, and they can destroy crops. The farmer said, Thierry, we need our guns to make sure that these hogs don't destroy our crops, because we're losing in Texas about $500 million worth of crops. And so there has to be a balance on this issue, but we have to make sure we're protecting our children. We have to, and that means in Congress, banning bump stocks, enacting background checks, and also making sure that from a red flag law standpoint, those are in place so that if you have a mental health issue, that's taken care of and you don't have access to a gun. But our priority should be making sure that children like Christian are not having to be worried about going to school and having a shooting taking place there. I'm sorry. I'll come here and then I'll come back to you.
Me?
Yeah, come on, talk to me.
Well, I just wasn't clear on the answer to the question. So how are we preventing guns from making their way into schools? Yeah. And how are you protecting children from mass shooting?
Yeah. So those three pieces are extremely good, because on this issue, and this is why it's important that we have good policy, but good policy doesn't equal perfection, right? So you can have somebody with a background check, you can have someone with all the things we're talking about, and if they decide on going to a school and doing something negative, they can do that. But what we can do is say, we want to reduce the possibility of that as much as we can, right? Because it's not a perfect science, but you can say, look, if there's a 50% chance that something may happen, how do we reduce it to 10 or 5%? And so by doing those things, and Gabrielle Giffords, who was a senator out of Arizona, all of these things that she mentioned, because she was shocked, and she said that these are the things that are able to now actually have a reduction in gun violence and mass shootings.
What are the actionable steps to being able to do that? I feel like a lot of theoretical things have been said, but not like the actual practical steps.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have to have it on the federal level. So there was the Safer Communities Act, which was a bill that was passed that did some minor things as it pertains to gun control, but there has to be real legislation on the federal level, because in Texas it's not going to happen with Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick. So we really need to make sure that, and this is why this seat is important, you want to have somebody representing the state of Texas that's actually going to be focused on trying to make people's lives better and putting policies in place that are going to make this state better.
And then my other question was that I spent some time last night looking through your policies.
Yeah.
Heard about you last night. Why are you so focused on rural Texans? Because I'm not a rural Texan.
Yeah,
She's not. I don't know if anyone here is a rural Texan. Why is that the focus?
It's not the focus, but it's a core component of our campaign, and it's because rural Texas has been neglected for a very long time in this state. It's been neglected. So when you go and look at the map of the state of Texas, what you end up seeing on election night is you have Houston, San Antonio, Austin, El Paso, Dallas. You'll see blue dots. The rest of the state is all red. And people make the assumption, and I blame Democrats for this, I actually think that this is an area that Democrats have failed in the state of Texas, of completely neglecting a group of people. And that's not my politics. I don't neglect anybody. And I'll give you an example of what happened and why this is important to me. This is on Tuesday night, we got word that there were wildfires that took place in the Panhandle, and that over 1.3 million acres destroyed. That night, I talked with Gloria. I said, look, these people are going through something very horrific. We got to go up there and provide support. That night, we drove up there, 9-hour drive to Amarillo. We got there Wednesday morning. and we provided water, we provided supplies to people that have lost their livelihood. No other candidate, no other elected official that's running statewide was there. Not one. Not one. So you have millions of Texans that are going through one of the most horrific disasters in this state's history. And no other statewide elected official, no other statewide candidate was there. But guess what? If there was a $3,000 fundraiser there for them per table, I guarantee that all of them would have been there. And so my politics is not one where I pick and choose who I care about. And I'm focused on being a voice for the voiceless. I'm focused on being someone that's fighting for the people that are marginalized. And rural Texans have been marginalized in this state for a very long time. But it's not just them. Hopefully on my issues page you saw that our fundamental issues are trying to make life better for the everyday person. And so rural Texans fall into that, and I want to make sure to create a new way forward in this state that says that, look, it doesn't matter what your income is, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter your zip code, you have a United States Senator that's going to be fighting for you.
My question is about immigration. What do you think about immigration policy over here in Texas?
Our immigration system is broken. There's no other way around it. And
like for example, right, you have people over here, they've been here for 50 years, they still don't have nothing, no green card, no citizenship.
yeah, no, I mean, it's broken, and it's because we don't have leadership that really wants to find a solution to the problem. And I tell folks all the time that we don't have to pick and choose between having a safe and secure border and then also caring about immigrants. We should be able to do both. But our politics today says if you're a Republican, then you care about having a safe border. If you're a Democrat, you care about immigrants. That's not how we look at it. We should be able to do both. And so to specifically what you're talking about, I actually believe if you're in the United States right now, you should be assigned legal status so that you can work, so you can get a driver's license. Because if you're not committing crimes, you can actually be helping out our economy as well as being able to provide a better life for yourself. We should be putting in place a state-based guest worker program so that if you're coming to the United States and wanting to make wages, make your money, and then go back to your home country, you should be able to do that as well. But then also from a secure border standpoint, I think that we have to hire more immigration judges. Right now, we have a 3.1 million case backlog in our immigration system, but only 680 immigration judges. 3.1 million case backlog with 680 immigration. You're never gonna get through that backlog with that. So we have to hire more immigration judges. We have to empower Border Patrol at the border. And for me, and I think about my mom here, and where's my dad? Right here. One thing that they used to tell me growing up was that being in the United States was a privilege. It was something to not be taken for granted. And so for people that are coming to the United States and that are committing crimes, we have to be strong on that, because what we don't want to do is now mess it up for the majority of people that are here that are not committing crimes, right? But because the narrative is that you have a couple of people that commit crimes, then they just say everybody falls into that bucket, when it's not true. And so we have to have safe borders, but also care about immigrants. That's what we're doing. Like I said, I'm a son of immigrants from Cameroon, but I even think about my wife. My wife is from Nicaragua. She came with her mom and her older sister when she was 3 years old here to the United States. They came through Brownsville, and her mom was sexually assaulted at the border. But when we talk about immigration, so often it's on this high level, right? Whenever we're actually talking about real people with real situations, we just talked about 15 years, 20-year cases that aren't being solved. We have to do that. And so that's one of my priorities, that if I was elected to the United States Senate, I'd actually introduce a comprehensive immigration bill. I'll ask another question and we'll wrap up soon. I'll stay around to be able to talk to folks one-on-one.
Let me take the dad's hat off and be a normal citizen. I've been hit by unemployment many times, and every time I'm hit by unemployment, I get laid off. First of all, for those who have been laid off many times, you have a few months of some basic help, right? That is really not the dividend of what you're making. And the first thing that comes to mind is health, your health. Because you're wondering, you have Obamacare, but you still have to make sure that you pay something. And during that time, that's the toughest time, because when I cough, I start praying, oh my God, am I going to be coughing tomorrow again? What am I going to do? I don't have money to go to the hospital, and I don't have the coverage.
So it brings us the universal health care. I'm wondering what you will do to help us out.
It's a good question, Papa, and I'm not just saying that because you're my dad. It's a good question. So on this issue, I was a big fan of Obamacare when it was passed in 2010. I thought that there was a lot of progress made there, but it's not enough. And when you travel the state and you talk to people, they tell you, Thierry, I'm having to pay $1,100 a month for health insurance. And because of that, I'm not then able to then take care of other things that I need to take care of. When you talk to small business owners, they tell me, Thierry, I can't provide my employees with health insurance because my margins are already small, my profit is small. And if I add health insurance, there's not going to be any money to pay to those employees. And so I believe that we should have universal health care, and I actually think that that should be done by establishing a public health insurance program so that whether you get laid off, whether anything happens, you have health insurance. And not just have health insurance, but quality health insurance so that you don't have to worry about getting sick and then having to deal with a $5,000 or $10,000 medical bill. And you brought it up, right? And I think about both of my parents here. There have been many times where they haven't had health insurance, right? And so you're dealing with a stomach ache, your knees, things are happening and you're worried. But because you're worried and you don't have health insurance, you don't go to the doctor. But guess what? The problem gets worse and worse. And then by the time you finally get to it, for a lot of people, it ends up being too late. And so I'm for a universal health care plan, establishing a public health insurance program, but in that, being also able to have a private opt-in so that if you have a private provider, you can keep your private provider, but you'll know that, look, if I don't want private health insurance and I want that public program, I'll have health insurance no matter what happens. Thank you.
Okay. To piggyback off of that, right, his initial point was unemployment. The current minimum wage in Texas is still $7.25, obviously not a livable wage. How do you intend on mitigating that? Plus, how do you intend on bringing jobs to the state?
Really good question, 2 questions. Number 1, I think that we should have a $15 minimum wage. And
or a wage that is reflective of like the cost of living.
So
to me, 15 is an arbitrary number.
So I'll expand a little bit, and then, so I believe that we should have a $15 minimum wage, and that's just a piece of the plan because $15, you get you to $30,000 a year, right? That's still very difficult to live off of. But what's just as important, if not more important than the $15 minimum wage, is making sure that everyday people are being paid good wages. And I'll give you an example. When I drive across Southwest Houston, I cross a lot of Walmarts. Since the 1970s, big business CEOs have given themselves a 1,400% pay increase. While everyday people like us, since the 1970s, have only gotten an 18% pay increase. 1,400% to 18%. That's unacceptable. And so we have to hold these big corporations accountable. And I'm a capitalist. I think that if you have an idea and you build on that idea, then you should benefit from that idea. But what I also do believe is that you shouldn't be working hard, working 40 hours a week at a corporation, and that corporation says, you know what, I'm not gonna pay you what you deserve. And the Bible in Proverbs 14:23 says, there's profit in hard work. But what's ended up happening in our system is the people that are working the hardest in these corporations are not able to benefit off of the profit that they're making in the company. And so we have to fight to make sure that if CEOs are giving themselves a pay increase, good. But you're also going to give the everyday worker working in that company 40, 50, 60 hours a week a pay increase as well. It has to be across the board. You shouldn't, as a CEO, be able to give yourself unlimited profit and not make sure that you're taking care of the people that are fighting to make sure that you're even in that position. I'll take two more questions and then we'll wrap up.
Cool. So to that point, hi, I own a couple of tech companies, and I started my first company when I was 19. I put in years and years and years and years of hard work to be able to get to the exit point that we're at now. I think you've spoken a lot about like what you're doing for people, right? But then it depends on how you're looking at things. If you're looking at things from a trickle down effect, you have to now think about, okay, how do you incentivize companies, for example, tech companies to stay in Texas or to stay in Austin? Because what's happening with myself and a lot of friends is that we're actually moving our companies back to San Francisco because of the fact that there's limited incentives here outside of tax breaks. So how do you plan on like bringing, like she was saying, because that's the question that wasn't answered, how do you plan on bringing more jobs to Texas? I mean, because if you have the rhetoric of like, oh, these CEOs are doing X, Y, Z, I mean, no one's gonna want to freaking like stay here, right? So like, how do you plan on like incentivizing businesses, and then also like, yeah, to the point of the minimum wage, like what does that look like for you in terms of like being able to help corporations as well as individuals?
And let me ask you a question before I answer that. Where y'all from, kind of background?
Hey, I'm from Houston, Texas. We're entrepreneurs, so we own businesses. She was born in Houston but raised in Toronto, Canada, and then moved to Texas with her company.
So on the issue that you're talking about as it pertains to bringing jobs back to Texas, that's primarily a state issue, right? So that's, again, Governor Abbott, that's Dan Patrick. So on the federal level, you're enacting policy for the whole United States, right? So whenever you're thinking about tax breaks, what I would actually say is Texas is actually one of the most business-friendly states in the country. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it becomes a bad thing whenever you're so business-friendly that the people that are working in those companies are not able to get a fair shake. And that's what's ended up happening in our state over the last 29 years, where it's been skewed too much one way, and I think that we have to balance it out. Like I said, I'm not anti-business. We have to be finding ways of being able to make sure that folks are bringing companies here, and that's happening. Companies are coming to Texas. Greg Abbott brags all the time about how he's providing incentives for companies to come here. But whenever you peel back the layers, you see that, okay, companies are coming here. But how is the everyday person like my mom, who's working 60 hours a week at that company, how is she doing? Does she have health insurance? Is she getting paid a livable wage? Is she in a position to where whenever she's getting a paycheck, she doesn't have to worry about, well, I have this paycheck, I'm now calculating. There's health insurance, there's light, food. Man, I'm gonna have to choose between one or the other because I don't make enough money. Way too many Texans are going through that. And so we have to find a way of being able to have that balance. I think that we have to fight for that on the federal level, but then also make sure that on the state level that in 2026, we're electing people in office that are actually making sure that we have that balance, because right now in this state, it's unfair. And I'll provide one other stat here, and I want to make sure some other folks are able to ask a question. In Texas right now, if you're in the top 1%, you only pay 3.1% of your income taxes. 3.1%. If you're in the top 1%. If you're in the bottom 60%, you're paying 13% of your income to taxes. Raise your hand in here if you think that's fair. Yeah. Only one person. And my favorite uncle. But that's a problem. It's a problem whenever everyday people are having to pay more in taxes than the people that are in the top 1%. And again, I'm someone that's a capitalist, but our system needs to be fair. And there's too much unfairness right now in our state, which is why people are struggling more than ever before. And so, everybody in here, I want you to know that at the end of the day, I want to be judged off of how I treat the everyday person. How I treat the person that was working at Stop and Go on Bel Air and Fondren. That's how I want to be judged. If you say Thierry, because naturally politics is complicated, right? You're gonna have some politicians in this state that are caring about making sure that CEOs are better off. If that's who you're thinking about, if that's who you would like, that may not be me. Right? But I think most of us in here are thinking that we want to just be able to have enough money in our pockets to be able to have some breathing room. And so that's what we're fighting for. That's the new way forward that we're trying to create.
All right, Terry, the way I look at it, the Republicans have framed the issue in terms of tribal differences, cultural. That's where it boils down to us against them. So the question I ask, how do you plan to fight that issue? Because most of the electorate today, they just go by that issue. It's us against them. It's no more class, economic. It's just tribal argument. How do you plan to fight that?
We've been fighting it on this campaign. And the question is, how do you fight against tribalism, us versus them, which Uncle was saying that the Republican Party does. We've been fighting against that. You know, as you mentioned that rural Texas is a huge focus on our campaign. We've gotten criticized from a lot of people. They say, Thierry, why are you going and talking to those rural Texans? Why are you going talking to those old white guys that don't care about you? I said, that's not how I look at public service. That is not, and I'm not saying that y'all was saying that. I'm saying that that's something that we've gotten from people. I don't participate in that. I view all of us as all being treated with respect and dignity. So I want to make your life better here in Southwest Houston the same way that I want to make someone's life better in Lubbock or in El Paso or in Center, Texas. And so that's what we've been able to do. And like I said, that's why we've gotten the endorsement of the biggest rural democratic organization in the state. They said that they were not planning on endorsing. They said that we were not planning on endorsing in this Democratic primary. But Thierry Tchenko has a vision for all of Texas that's going to be able to improve all of Texas. Because whenever we talk about the average income here in the state being $40,000 a year, that's not just a Republican Party problem or a Democratic Party problem. That's a Texas problem. Whenever we're the most uninsured state in the country, that's not just a Republican problem or a Democratic Party problem. That's all of Texas that's going through that. And so you have to have a vision for all of Texas, and that's what we're doing, and that's what you can trust that I'll do as a United States Senator. I'll stick around, but as I close, once again, I want to thank Marie African Flavors for having us here today. And you know, when I talk about this new way forward, this is not something that I can do by myself. You know, oftentimes politicians think that they can do everything by themselves. It has to be a community effort. It has to be all of us joining together. And so we have different things that you can be able to sign up for to be able to support us, because right now it's March 3rd. March 3rd. Election day is March 5th. There's a lot of work to do to March 5th to make sure that we are making it past the primary. We also have a Ziploc bag. If you'd like to support us financially, please provide a contribution. But most importantly, out of anything that I say here today, I'm really asking for your vote and support. And especially here, Antima, how are you doing? Good to see you. We need to create a new way forward, and we need to have real representation in this state. It's something that we deserve in this community. And so, my name is Thierry Tchenko, ready to create a new way forward. I hope that you'll vote for me on March 5th. Take a picture of the signs that you have, send it to 10 friends. Let's build it. Uncle Ben, it's good to see you. Let's create this new way forward together. I'll stick around for questions. But thank you.